Greetings, greetings. How are you, Mr. Ferdinand?
I am doing well, Umar. It's a pleasure to have you
It's a
on.
pleasure to be here again with you. It's a pleasure to be here again with you. And you seem to be never to age. You have to share that secret with me. What is you doing to stay young and to stay vibrant the way you are?
I'm being
Want to say
looked
hello,
after.
hello to your listeners. Hello to your listeners. Pleasant good night to each and every one of you. Um, I have one request of your
Yes,
viewers,
sir.
and that is I need your viewers to pay particular attention tonight. If it's one topic that we need to pay attention to, it is this one.
Right. And I absolutely agree with you. Good evening, Fred. Good to see you with us tonight. How are you, sir?
Good evening, boss. How you doing? You all right?
I am doing well, thanks. My wife isn't doing all the best, but we're going to be leaving shortly to look after her and to care for her medical requirements in just a couple of weeks. So we're confident. Good Lord has been good to us. He's kept her and preserved her life, and we're grateful, Umar. We're grateful and thankful for
Yeah.
how he's done that, and that's probably why you see me
May,
looking
Al-
so well. We're being looked after.
may Almighty God grant her a speedy recovery and
Thank you
make it
so
easy
very
for
much.
you and her as well in this
Thank
journey
you.
to recovery and so on.
Thank you so much. Well, as you mentioned, we do have quite a
Mr.
serious
Corbin, how are you,
subject to
sir?
engage tonight.
How you doing, Omar? Good to see you, my brother.
I'm okay. Yeah,
I am
good to see
coming.
you too.
I am coming to see you at the end of the year.
Right. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me and you have a lot of dialogue to catch up on, my brother.
Definitely.
And,
Definitely.
and hopefully we can get into some of that dialogue tonight. If we
Sure,
can kind
sure.
of jump in. We can kind of jump in that little area of the sharing because we do have quite a serious matter to discuss tonight. I think Barbadians need to take this more seriously. I don't think they're taking it seriously enough. And of course, you know that we are speaking about the digital ID, ID cards, and we see this now rolling out around the world. We've seen it mandatory. My understanding is. In the UK, and there is quite a significant amount of pushback apparently in the United Kingdom with regards to this. I've seen it in a couple of African countries as well. Of course, we know China's leading the world where this is concerned with their biometrics and the ID card. And now, of course, we've had it here in Barbados. So we need to talk about it, and you need to bring us up to date, Umar, when we come to the matter of Trinidad. But Fred, as it relates to the digital ID here in Barbados, where are we as it relates to the digital ID in Barbados? At what stage are we with regards to this?
Well, that's a very good question, boss, because the government has not been forthcoming to educate Barbadians as to the ability of the Trident ID to be modified at will by the government to be used in policies that the government is currently rolling out. Everybody is still thinking that the Trident ID is just a more convenient way of purchasing and showing who you are and so on and so forth. What is actually happening behind the scenes is that the algorithms for tracking your social credit score, the algorithms for implementing a carbon usage code, as well as the ability to have your biometrics continually available to the government, and most egregiously, the ability for the government to modify the algorithm to access any financial institution that you are a member of. Has the public been educated that this is what is happening? Has the government actually held a referendum with regard to educating the public that this is what a digital ID actually does? The public has to hear from us, not the government. The government is continuing its deceptive practices by trying to maintain a status quo by saying that the digital ID is nothing more than just a plastic card that is not pinned to your bank account and so on and so forth. Well, we know differently simply because the algorithms that are contained in the Trident Digital ID are identical to those that are used in the one in England, the one in Israel, and the one soon to be rolled out in the United States of America, which had its architects with Oracle, which is the big tech company owned by Larry Ellison and who is a shareholder in the World Economic Forum, whose idea digital ID was originally stemming from. But the public is still in the dark. The public has absolutely no knowledge that the algorithm that exists with your digital ID is held in servers offshore Barbados, is controlled by the government through instructions that can be issued to the Ministry of Finance, to the Ministry of Health, to the insurance companies, that can be used against you at any point in time if you decide that you're not going to comply with a government regulation or a mandate. And we must educate the public here tonight that regulations and mandates are not laws. Be very mindful of that.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Fred, because I was watching a couple of videos recently, and there was a lady that was making exactly that point. And if I can, I don't know if Dave can find it. Just a couple of things I want to take up on that you said. One of them had to do with the U.S. And not long ago, our prime minister appeared before, I think it was either a congressional committee or a Senate committee. I don't know if Dave can put his hand on that. I think I did send it to him. And
well, it was a congressional. It was a staged congressional committee that was organized on the prime minister's behalf to do just that. It was not a House of Congress committee. It was a congressional committee of Congress members specifically chosen to lend weight to the ideology and the narrative the prime minister wanted to promote.
Right. So this is not a committee then that she appeared before, which would have been a standard, congressional committee that we've often viewed, when they're interviewing doctors and all these different. This was not that type of a committee then.
Nope.
Okay,
this was staged in order to create and build the narrative towards the digital identification to satisfy the funders, the financiers, the Biden administration on behalf of the government of Barbados via the OECD. That was what that was. And it was nothing more than a facade in order to be able to bring the narrative home to Barbadians, but with the prime minister at center stage. Oh, look at what she's doing for Barbados.
Right. Yeah, because I did hear one of the interviewing individuals when she spoke about it. He seemed to be oblivious. He was asking, "What is that?" And I don't know if you have it, Dave. If you have it, Dave, you can pull it up that we can see it. She, I found with a smile and so on, she extrapolated on all that it was all about, and she talked about the how tight we are in terms of our exchange, and not exchange, deposits and currency.
That was a very interesting point that she raised there with regard to how tight it was to do this.
Yes,
how much regulation and so on. But who regulated the $10 million that she spent to do it?
That's a good question. That's a very, very good question. You see, that is why I don't know how much of the preamble you picked up tonight when I started. But there is this statement that she made at the UN. I think it was day before yesterday, or I believe it was, or yesterday, can't remember. But she talked about, in the absence of truth, trust deteriorates. And I added this evening, I said, in the absence of transparency, accountability, and truth, trust deteriorates, because we have seen so many things pulled back by this administration. And of course, we are not hearing very much with regards to this ID card at the moment. Can I ask you, Umar, same question I asked Fred. What is the status at the moment where the digital ID is concerned in Trinidad?
Well, in Trinidad and Tobago, we know the digital ID is also being pushed here under the banner of progress and digital transformation. You tend to hear those coin phrases a lot. But, let's be honest. Our government has not earned our trust when it comes to data protection and transparency. They have not been able to do that. We still have unanswered questions from past failures. Breaches of sensitive information, like, for instance, lack of accountability and the tendency to use state power in ways to suppress rather than to empower the people. And that has constantly been happening in Trinidad and Tobago. And if our institutions cannot even safeguard our medical records, as we would have seen in the past, police reports, as we would have also seen in the past, electoral list, right? We know that very well come election time. How can we trust them when a centralized system that contains every citizen's identity, biometrics, and financial linkages? How can we trust them, right? And we have to be fools as a people, as a citizen, to continue to believe that the government has our interests at hand. I mean, the truth is that, Trinidad and Tobago is heading on the same path as Barbados, as Mr. Fred Corbin would have indicated. All right. And of course, it is without the guardrails. There's no guardrails in Barbados. Neither are there guardrails here in Trinidad and Tobago. And I say it is not digital progress as they are saying. It is a digital captivity disguised as convenience. Because that's how they're selling it. It's convenient. It's convenient. Now, one may ask, the question, those citizens who are unaware and who like to jump on every bandwagon that passes along the government leading, of course. What are the dangers, right? And these are not conspiracy theories, right? What I'm about to say here, this is not conspiracy theories, right? They are practical realities. And I want you all to ask yourself the questions, right? Now, first of all, we have totalitarian control, right? Once government controls your ID, your biometrics, and your digital wallet, they can control your access to money, healthcare, education, and even food. And we would have seen some of this play out during the COVID, right? So don't tell me that's far-fetched to believe. We have data breaches and abuses. What about, have you considered the hackers and foreign actors in this whole scenario? Mr. Fred Corbin alluded to it a little while ago. Where are the servers? Who are protecting these servers? Rogue state officials can use this data, misuse this data. That's the proper word. Once your identity is compromised, my dear brothers and sisters, once your identity is compromised, you are helpless. We have the issue of the social credit style system, right? I mean, look at China, what is happening right now. People are rewarded or punished based on behavior. That's what is happening in China. And we know how Caribbean people like to misbehave. We know that. We are aware of that.
Yes, we do.
Right?
We sure do.
Yeah, right? And imagine what they're going to do to us. Access to services is tied to compliance in China. Could this be where we are heading? Of course, it's where we are heading.
As a matter of
Right?
fact,
What about the vulnerable?
Yeah, you're hearing me?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, one of
Yeah,
the
I'm
things
hearing
I
you.
saw recently, one of the things I was seeing recently was a lady who could not even enter a store and could not even access her ATM and her bank because of that situation in China. The biometrics picked up her face. She didn't have her card or
Yeah.
anything. The biometrics picked up her face. She was denied entry. I think it was a supermarket because the credit score, whatever it is that they engaged, she had compromised that. However, that is engaged, and she couldn't even get into the store.
right? And that brings me to the issue of the vulnerable amongst us. You know, what will happen to those who refuse to sign up? What will happen to those who refuse to sign up? Already, according to England, Britain, if you don't sign up, you can't enter Britain, right? What if you choose to not sign up because of religious grounds, ethical grounds, privacy reasons? You understand? Will we be locked out of banking and healthcare and travel and things like that? These are essentials, right? So the greatest danger, I say, is not losing privacy. The greatest danger is losing autonomy. And a system like this can turn free citizens into digital slaves overnight. And you all hear what I'm telling you. Digital slaves overnight.
And you know the question
And
that comes up,
yeah.
question that comes up, which I'd like to come to in a little while, is what can we do? But before we do that, I was looking at some information. This is coming actually straight from the World Economic Forum, a paper put out by them actually, and they issued a caution. And I want to read from it. They said, but there are risks outlined in this report. Many of them will be familiar to critics of digital ID programs. The WF notes that by making access conditional, the ID of any kind is by nature exclusionary. One can't get a driver's license without providing a home address, excluding those who don't have a home address. And in situations in which sensitive data is collected, there are also risk of the marginalization and oppression, with the ID being used to facilitate the identification, surveillance, and persecution of individual groups or groups. I mean, this is coming straight, and these are the people that are mainly behind all of this entire process. I think I heard you make mention, Fred, about soon to be rolled out in the United States, or the United States is giving consideration to it. But let me ask you this. What both yourself, I'll let you go first, and then maybe Umar, you can follow up. But what are when they speak about these matters of surveillance persecution, let's talk about some of the real dangers, because you know, during the pandemic, something happened in Canada. I don't know if you all recall how the Prime Minister had locked out protesters from their accounts. People couldn't buy baby food, couldn't access their accounts. He shut down a GoFundMe for the truckers, all these different kinds of things. What are some of the dangers? Do you help us to tie in, Fred, the card, which, you know, one could say, you know, well, it's just a digital ID. Help us to tie in this. And of course, you have the central bank digital currency and the access to our accounts. Tell us about some of these dangers that we may not even be giving consideration to.
Well, there are 5 main dangers that a digital ID actually promotes onto the holder without their consent. Number 1 is access to your financial information without your consent. Number 2, access to your medical information without your consent. Number 3, access to your biometric data without your consent. Number 4, access to your linkage to your purchasing profile without your consent. And number 5, the ability to bill you, charge you, or fine you based on all 4 if you're non-compliance. So for a person like me who will not sign up for a digital ID because I know exactly what it is, they can't touch me because number 1, I don't have bank accounts. Number 2, I don't have health insurance. Number 3, I'm not vaccinated with biological synthetic self-assembling nanoscale transmitters. Number 4, I'm a free autonomous rebel. And number 5, I don't subscribe to your ideology. So if you want to target me, you have to physically send somebody with a weapon and try to take me out. Well, good luck with that. It's been done twice before and it failed. The most important thing to this, for the average human average person in Barbados who is led a sheltered life, we see the compliance being done through fear. Fear of not having money, fear of losing autonomy with regard to being able to access health care, fear of not being able to vote. Oh my God, I can't vote. Fear of not having the ability to travel or to go places and not having the ability to actually use your power of autonomy in order to further your education and to further your social interaction for the betterment of your community. All of these things are tied to a digital ID. And here's how it works. A digital identification, the algorithm for digital identification is held in a server offshore of Barbados, offshore of Trinidad. Simply because the technology upon which digital ID is implemented against you has to be implemented via your smartphone. That technology is already built into your smartphone. So when you buy a smartphone, particularly if it was manufactured after 2012, it already has that algorithm built into the operating system. And it has the ability to remotely be activated upon your signing up of a digital ID. So the algorithm, when you pin your digital ID, the algorithm goes into action and automatically signals your phone, and your phone becomes active without you knowing.
But pardon me interrupting you a minute, Fred. Just stick up in there a minute, because you mentioned something just now that maybe you can help to differentiate the difference for the viewers and the listeners. Signing up and pinning.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Signing up and pinning.
Yes.
Explain to us the difference, because a lot of people feel that okay, I don't have a problem getting the card. I can get the card. I can sign up for it. I can go ahead and get it. But then this matter of pinning, because they're trying to I don't know if I'm using the right word when I say encourage or push you, we can use or coerce, thank you, that's the word, to pin it. Explain to us the difference between the two.
Well, the difference between the two is this. When you sign up for a digital ID, they don't tell you that you're going to be coerced once you sign up for the card. Mm-hmm. They're going to come with the card. Okay, they're going to show you, okay, here's your new digital ID. But before you go, you actually have to pin it in order to be able to make it valid. You hear the word valid?
Yes.
That automatically puts you into a spin with regard to how you mean valid. You ask yourself, what do you mean valid? Well, in order for you to be recognized, to be able to carry out purchases and have the convenience of using the card, you have to pin it, and you can put in any number you like. And what you put in number is unique to you, just like your bank PIN and so on, but it activates the algorithm within the system, which activates the source code activation and transmission in your cell phone. Even if you change cell phones and change numbers, your ID of the PIN card still translates to another telephone. In addition to that, when you do that, as soon as you pin the card and the algorithm goes live, you have already voted for the incumbent party. Remember, it's the Electoral and Boundaries Commission that has put the digital ID in place, not a private entity. The minute you pin, the minute you pin your ID, you have already voted for the incumbent. It is the most deceptive voting practice in history. Simply because when the government controls the algorithm and they have PIN cards, they can say, "Oh, Barbados has voted by consensus," and you can do nothing about it.
Okay, so that's what happens when you pin it. So when you go to get your card, I mean, I have my regular ID, my old ID card. I go into the facility to get the new card. It looks nice. It's like my bank, debit or credit card, and that kind of thing. And what you're saying then is when it's pinned, it gives you're technically given permission unknown to you.
That's correct.
And you can correct me if I'm wrong. You're technically given permission to all of the governmental aspects to get into your personal information. And when I say that, I'm speaking of health, I'm speaking of insurance, I'm speaking of finance, and so on. But again, Umar, in terms of and this is something that several people have asked me, and I'm still trying to engage it, because our banking information is supposed to be confidential. Is this not correct? Our banking information. I like the laugh. I like the laugh. But this is what people this is what people are facing every day, you know. Our banking information is supposed to be illegal for the banks to give out any information to do with our accounts without our consent. Well, either one of you can take it up, or both of you can take it up.
It is also illegal for anybody to ask you what's your medical status.
But we had
It is
that
also
happen
illegal
during the
for that.
pandemic. But we
According to our constitution. But hear what I'm telling you, all right? Because I said it before. We've seen it happen during the pandemic, during the COVID, right? Where all these laws and all these protection laws that is there to protect us as citizens was breached. You understand? So as much as you think that your banking information is private and your health status is private, you have acquired immune deficiency syndrome and nobody knows about it, and you feel that you're safe with that, and so on and so forth, think again, because it's not going to happen. Let me bring it down to layman's terms so that people would understand. All right.
Yes, thank you.
So I'm not going to get into the technical aspects that Mr. Fred Corbin had spoke about just now. So let me get down to what the man in the street can understand, the woman on the street can understand. All right? You're home. All right? The housewives, the women, you're home. And you open your front door. Right? And you find that somebody passes in front of the road, in front of your doorway, and looks inside of your house. What do you do? Women out, all you women outside there, what do? You close the door because people are prying and looking inside of your house.
Yeah, you don't want them.
So you close the door. You protect. Yes, you protect the yourself and the contents of your home and all. All people looking inside of your house. We have people would normally look at individuals and they say, "Was she looking at me so far? Was she looking at me? I don't like nobody profiling me." And you understand, right? You don't like it, but here we are, ready, willing to allow government to do the very same thing that you don't like people to do to you. The very same thing you're allowing government to do. You understand? What are you looking at me for? You understand? I find a macro in my business these days. Think. Yeah, you like nobody to macro your business in Trinidad and Tobago, in the Caribbean. Nobody likes nobody to macro the business. The Makome woman and the Makome man, nobody like them in the community, right? But we hugging the government. We embracing the government. Come on, macro my business. Macro everything about me. You understand? Down to the yellow underwear I went and buy in the store today, right? You know I went and purchased a yellow underwear. You want the government to know that. This is how real it is, right? I can't make it simpler. Mr. Corbin, I can't make it simpler. This is how real it is.
Yeah, you're absolutely
And don't feel in Venezuela in 2014 when I was there, right? I used to go shopping in Venezuela, and when I go into the store, there was this biometric device that scanned your eyes. So everybody, and you had to purchase with your passport, right? If you're a foreign citizen, if you're a local, you have to present your ID card. So that goes into the system. So if you go today at Rogers and you buy a sack of flour, and you go by Gabriel's tomorrow, and you attempt to buy a sack of flour tomorrow, they will deny you that because they're rationing the food in Venezuela. Because why? They know you bought a sack of flour yesterday. So it was happening in 2014 in Venezuela. I remember that, right? So they have gone advanced with this. So you can very well you understand the ramifications of they having your digital ID and you pinning that digital ID and giving them access to every single facet of your life.